Okay.
This is pretty cool. I've asked the Ottawa people to observe too, so we'll see how that goes.
Oh,
Yeah.
you're dialing in today?
Well, I want them to see what a virtual team meeting looks like, stating that we've never done it before, but they might want to watch and yeah,
We
see.
want to see what one looks like too.
Yeah. Oh, look at the moves on that guy. Yeah.
Beautiful. We got 30 people online right now.
That's awesome.
All righty. All righty. Okay, we're close enough. Let's just start this show. So we got myself, we've got Colin, we've got Marvin, we've got Dean. We're all on the screen together. And here's what we're going to do. We're going to close this and we're just going to bring everybody up. Everybody say hi, folks.
Hey, how's it going?
So this is different. We were just saying Marvin's brokerage out in Ottawa, they want to see what a virtual team meeting looks like. And the comment was, well, so do we.
Yeah.
So, right?
Yes, that's right.
So here's what's going to happen. Kind of the ground rules for this, and then we got lots of stuff to go through. Post your comments because that interaction, that's how we know that you're still there. That's how we know that you're listening. And Lori here, who's going to be watching the comments, if there's any questions that come in or we can circle back to. If we miss your question, it's not that we're ignoring you. Trust me, it's lots of stuff to go through in the next hour. However, we can always circle back offline to answer some of those questions. So don't be afraid to post a question, do so, some comments. It's kind of fun. We can even bring your comments onto the screen, which is really cool as well. And for some, if you want your name on the screen, I don't know, you have to go let StreamYard or something just know that. I think it's just something through the app. Anyways, whatever. We've got 60 people here. I love it. There's lots of people saying hi. Andrew Bolton. Who else is there? Stephanie Sauve, Jeff Cowan, Debbie, whole bunch of people. Christine, everyone. You love Christine's hair. That's what Lori's saying in the background over here. Oh, everyone loves Christine's hair. Okay, now I feel. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. I showed up with a t-shirt. Marvin showed up with a t-shirt. Colin's in purple. And Christine shows up all dolled up.
No. I want comments on my t-shirt. I'm going to do a funny t-shirt every day now. I decided. So this one is good. What do you think?
I like it.
I
like it. Yeah.
I love
Here
it.
we go. Christine. That's awesome. Where's Christine? Oh, the comments are going so fast. Hang on. Melissa has a great comment. Here we go. Melissa Bachman. Everyone. Hello, everyone. Love Christine's hair.
Gee, blondes
Awesome.
do have more fun.
They do. Hey, Stephanie Sauve, Christine's ready for business.
We would
So-
say it is.
As you can tell, this team meeting's not like many others. We're gonna have a lot of fun. There's some really, really obviously important information that Christine will walk us through and Marvin will walk us through. That is, of course, very important to how we're going to conduct our daily business and how we're going to communicate with our clients and so forth. But I just thought we kind of start off this meeting with a couple of shout outs, just like we do at any other team meeting. And first of all, I want to say how awesome our support staff is stepping up. And in weird times, like we've not had anything like this before, where people are obviously working a lot longer and a lot later than we're used to and doing things that we're just not used to. Your support team, I got to tell you, they are killing it in the right form of killing it. They're doing amazing. So kudos to you. If you've got some other shout outs or the people online with us, Colin, Christine, Marvin, feel free to jump in as well. But if you got some comments, post your comments on there. We'd love to see them. Marvin, any words on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think that this is unprecedented times. And we really, truly have been working around the clock to deliver great value and position our realtors so that they can be more than just competitive, actually be the leaders in what's happening in the industry. And I believe we've done a great job of that so far. I hope you're enjoying the videos. I can tell you that I have a setting on the video where every time somebody opens it, I get an email notification. And I've had 1,880 email notifications since Monday. So that means people are viewing the videos more than once, but that also tells me that the communication is an important thing to our people. So we're going to continue to do the videos. The information is changing so rapidly that we'll continue to do that. Today we'll talk about some cool things, and then we'll do another video again. But I just want to say thank you to everybody for an extraordinary effort. You know, other brokerages are, you know, not really, I'm choosing my words carefully, not really, really to the level that they should be in terms of taking care of their people. This is a serious matter, and we have an opportunity to take market share and put our people in a position where we protect them, where their safety is of utmost importance, and also allow them to go out there and conduct business. So we're not sending you things like what great things you can do at home, like do a board game or any of that stuff. We're all about giving you some great business information to help you succeed. I couldn't help it, Colin. It was low-hanging fruit.
I know it's low-hanging fruit.
Awesome. Awesome. Yeah, here we go. Stephanie Sauve. Thanks, Stephanie. I'll read it out loud for everyone. Shout out to Wasim Jarrah for stepping up and being a great source of information. I know Christine also mentioned that. Thanks also to Jen Silbernagel for being there, not only as a productivity coach, but as a life coach to many of us right now. Awesome, Jen. Wow, that is amazing. Good. Thanks, Steph, for that.
There's one there about congratulating Colin.
Shout out to, do we want to congratulate Colin? Of course we do. Shout out to Colin. I'm in self-isolation and he lives down the road and offered to deliver me some groceries. Awesome, my man. He's very thoughtful all the time. This is awesome stuff.
Isn't that nice?
This is awesome stuff. We have, looks like over 100 people on the stream with us, and this is our community, right? This is how we help each other. So again, we always say this, if you don't get the opportunity to speak publicly to that person, do it in a nice email or pick up the phone, and that simple thank you could go a long way. We're grateful for our team and for our clients and that are being champions through all the things humanity are facing. Thank you, Gary and Christine, for the guidance when we've had questions. My pleasure. Christine's taken a lot of the questions. I just kind of helped steer them, but awesome. Thanks to everyone for posting their comments. Again, if you got comments throughout this, I'll try and keep up with all this. And I know Lori will kick me under the desk as comments go by that I'm missing. So it's all good. Beautiful. Okay, so let's kind of shift into some of the information that that we said we would provide. And the first off, so let's just say goodbye to Christine and Marvin for a moment, and we'll bring them back shortly. And let's see. So and the other thing is I'm just learning this app, so bear with me. So bye, Marvin. Okay, cool. They're still with us, and I thought I'd leave Colin up with us, and kind of that the not so black and white duo is back for a moment.
Yeah.
And I thought we'd talk about just kind of in the trenches with Colin and what he's seeing as a agent and how his business is moving forward and how he's also protecting not only his clients, but protecting his business, which obviously supports his family. So let's talk about that a little bit, Colin, and then we'll get into some of the stats. And we've got a few minutes here for that.
Absolutely.
So how are you seeing things in the trenches?
I think during this time, people are not sure how to react. And I'm preparing for something for our YP group, and even just getting on top, coming online here. I was researching the word crisis, and in the English language, it says crisis is a time of intense difficulty, and then it just stops. And so I went to the Chinese language for their definition. It says the word crisis is actually made up of two words. It's made up of danger and opportunity. So here we are in English, we're saying it's a time of intense difficulty, and it just stops there. Chinese language is two words. It says danger and opportunity. Looking at the Greeks, they said it's a time to make decision, and it's a time of decision making. And I think we're all going through a crisis right now with COVID-19, and it's how we choose to react to that. We could just see it as a time of intense difficulty, or we can look for opportunities within it, which will lead us to start making decisions. So for us, it's more digging deeper and focusing on our database. That's what we've been doing a lot of this week. A lot of our calls this week is to our database, and people in our database, they're looking out to us as leaders. So some of the response that I've been getting from people in our database is, the world is either coming to an end, or we're going to go through it, or this is a time for opportunity, and we just want to make the best out of it. And I prefer to stay in the latter group, where we find the opportunities in it. We're not discounting what this virus, this epidemic, pandemic, and how it can affect us, but it's more looking for opportunities and how do we now change our business and change the people's lives around us.
Awesome. And what, as you've been reaching out to some of your clients and Sphere, what's been their reaction?
Most people are looking for us for guidance. They're really not sure, and especially when it comes to the real estate side of it. So when you just update them on the real estate portion of it, well, things are still holding steady at this point. There isn't enough data to justify that, the market is going to crash as yet. We're not seeing that. We're still putting deals together. We're still selling homes. We still have new listings coming to the market. They now start to ease up. And that weight, I think, is somewhat lifted off their shoulders because they're losing money in the stock market. They're seeing a lot of negative on social media and the news. So when we're calling them, it's almost just that sense of hope that they're waiting to get from us as well.
Cool. And your listings, like you're getting stuff sold, aren't you? Like, and deals are happening, and I'm gonna bring up some stats in a moment, but I want your perspective on that.
Yes, within the last week last couple of days, I think we've sold 3. One of the listings just came to the market, which we suspended, and the day we suspended it, we had 2 offers on it. One of the offers came in of someone who never saw the property physically. They went through all of the photos online, all 40 photos. They went through our virtual tour. They put in an offer. They were the ones who were successful in the bid, actually. And we got 100,000 over asking.
I'm sorry, what?
100,000 over asking.
Beautiful. And then you and I kind of had that impromptu interview yesterday of Josh Bickle. And if you don't know who Josh Bickle is, he's a agent from KW Energy down in the Oshawa area.
Yep.
And if you recall, like he's very social media savvy.
Absolutely.
And he had generated, 5 seller leads and converted all 5 virtually online. Is that what we were talking about yesterday?
Yes. Within the last 7 days, he signed 5 new listings, and they're all from social media.
Yeah, and his experience. If you have a chance, go back and listen to our little test stream from yesterday. And he's basically getting his clients to walk around their house during FaceTime or something, and just getting him to be able to preview the homes. And he's signing them up that way. And of course, there's details to be followed up with, but here's somebody that sees an opportunity and making things happen out of it. So let's kind of transition to some of the market stats, because you said things are selling, obviously, and we see that. So let's see if I can bring up some of the market stats here. So what do I got to do? Here we go.
What is the market doing? Because there's a lot of fear, and for agents, they also want to know how the market is doing as well.
There we go. Market stats. Okay. So far, this stream is working perfectly.
Awesome.
Good. This market stats. So as you can see here, this is for Aurora, Newmarket, and Georgina. So these are, you can see right on the screen here, freehold for sale, condos for sale, and sold conditionally, because I wanted to see kind of what was going on currently in the market. So as you see here, my friends, total listings, we have 549, of which 42 are sold conditionally, and condos, you can see the number 25 and 9. But I thought, let's look since March 1st and what's happening. We've had 304 listings, and 26 are currently sold conditionally, and then 26 and 3. Those those numbers would suggest a moving market, and people are still willing to put their house up for sale. Now, in the last couple of days, things have kind of shifted a little bit. This is what's been happening over the last few weeks. Pretty interesting. And then we got some more stats here. So what's sold? Like to look. We always got to know about what's sold. So there you can see the numbers from March 1st this year to March 24th this year, and versus last year, 2019. You can see your numbers there. 232 freehold, 25, 192, and 31. I'm gonna bring. I like getting Marvin's thoughts on this too. So I'm gonna bring Marvin back into this because he's always got a good insight to the market stats and how it kind of relates to what's going on. When you see numbers like that, Marvin, what does that tell you initially? What's your first few thoughts on stuff like this?
Well, first of all, I think it's amazing that you came up with this system for doing our meeting. So I want to thank you. This is my first time seeing it too. And the fact that you've been able to put together those stats, I also think that's quite amazing. Sorry, I got a call coming in here. I'm just going to get rid of it. So here's what I see in this stat. If you notice, the condo sales are up 2020 versus 2019. And I think the reason for that is because viewing a condo remotely is very, very easy. I mean, essentially speaking, a condo's 4 walls and what's inside of it. So I think people have a much easier time adapting to purchasing or selling in the condo market virtually. So I would say that there's an opportunity in the condo market for sure. It's the kind of low-hanging fruit, right? Because you're just going to walk around an apartment. It's not that much that can go wrong or go differently. So I would not be surprised if we actually outpace the condo sales of the previous year while all of this is going on. That's my take on the condos. My take on freehold is this. If we're within that close range between 2020 and 2019 with all that's gone on, that tells me that, and we know for a fact that we were on a very, very robust pace. We were actually ahead and breaking records in terms of upcoming closings, listings, deals written, and so on. This year we were on track to be a record. So what that tells me is this is going to pass, and when it passes, I believe that we are going to continue to shatter records in 2020. Plus, it also indicates that there might be a pent-up demand. There's going to be some people that aren't comfortable to buy right now, so that's also an opportunity because now you get to keep in touch with them, and you get to have heightened opportunities. I'd be sending them videos, sending them stats. You get to control the message right now for the market, and I don't think anybody else is doing this. So there's definitely opportunity in adversity, as I've said in all of my previous videos, and I didn't know the Chinese definition, but I'm glad that we're in line. And that's it. That's my thoughts on what we're looking at.
I have a question there for you, Marv, because during this time, like, it's difficult for people to actually go into homes. And if someone who sold many brand new builds where people are buying off of specs, how can we utilize that now to pivot to selling physical homes, but they just can't be in it presently?
Yeah, you know, we're going to have to get innovative in terms of what we're going to do. I mean, one of the things I'd be looking at, we're going to be talking about some of the initiatives we're taking now to better position you for this. But what we could look at is some utilizing our COVID-19 forms, which, by the way, I'm going to talk about later on in this meeting and how they're going to evolve once again. And if we have a clean bill of health for the house and a clean bill of health for the realtor, we may even now have to introduce another one of these for a third-party provider, like a videographer or somebody, to make sure they're in a good state of health to go into the house. Then we get them in the house, they do a proper video tour, and we do that without the sellers being present in the home, and we give them the documentation attesting to the fact that we're in a good state of health. And I think that we're going to be able to, just as you saw, you're able to sell a house for $100,000 over asking in a multiple offer situation because you had 40 photos. So I think the emphasis right now for us is going to be more on more information that's accessible remotely. So that would be everything from way more photos on a feature sheet, way more photos on a listing, links to video tours, innovative opportunities. And maybe it will be a situation where you would line up a bunch of people that want to do a video tour, ask the sellers not to be present as the sales rep that's executed that document. Maybe you'll have multiple people on a medium like this doing a video tour simultaneously. And I could see that creating pent-up demand and even multiple offers. I think that's what we should be looking at doing. I don't think other people are doing that.
No, that's good. Yeah, and to clarify those numbers, as I should have earlier, yeah, those numbers are right off of Treb. Those are live action numbers that we're seeing right now
Excuse me, but they're not for all of Treb, are they, Gary? They're for our area, correct?
for our area. That's right.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's what
reported
we,
out of Treb. Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
So they come from Treb. The stats are Treb generated, but they're for our area. So
Hmm.
pretty
Hmm.
good numbers.
And to pull those numbers, I'll like to go into, and we can talk about that offline. I'll show you how I pulled those numbers because, as we know, the numbers are reported later in the month. But there's another way we can pull the active live numbers to what they look like today, and we can talk about that offline. But it's funny because always in these shifting markets, there's always these opportunities that pop up. And I think this was a discussion we had at our happy hour of all places last Friday night, which we're going to talk about again. We're going to do more of those. Don't you worry. If you've got buyers that are willing to go out and look at properties now, that's a motivated buyer to me. Like that's somebody you actually want them to come through the home because they are pre-qualified. They're everything. They've got money to spend. Those are people I want in the home, as it were. Good. Okay. Not a lot of stats this month because really the focus is on how do we continue our business through kind of like the turmoil that's going on, and with that, I want to bring Christine on. So we'll say bye to Colin and Marvin for the moment and invite Christine on here, and she's going to talk about the broker bits and the things that she's seeing, and also what's happening around all this stuff. So it's all yours, my friend. You tell me what to do, and I'll do it.
Okay. So I want to talk about three things today, and I'm going to start with talking about checking in with the lawyers. So while we're going to be very well equipped with new schedules, Schedule C is going to be very impressive. It's all to do with COVID and a series of forms that will protect our buyers, sellers, and the homes. In addition to that, you have to look out for the lawyers, and I'm going to tell you what happened to us. So over the holiday, we got a call from our builder who said that our architect had passed away, which hit us on twofold. One, we really liked him, of course, and we're very connected with him. He was the person who was kind of making our dream home come true. But secondly, he was an independent. And all our files that we had worked so hard with him and the designs were on his computer locked. So there are a lot of lawyers who are independents, who don't have a lot of assistants, who perhaps their assistants don't have methods for getting into their computer. So if a deal is in transaction, or the transaction is in working with the lawyer and the lawyer becomes ill, which can happen during this time, we need a backup plan. So you want to reach out to your sellers and speak to their lawyer and find out what his or her backup plan is. And you also want to have your buyers do the same thing. So both parties to the transaction, make sure that the lawyers have a backup plan for should they become ill during this or have to work from home, etc. So secure that down. The other time that we ask you to do that is around Christmas time, because we don't know when they're taking holidays, right? So if you're planning a really short closing around that time and the lawyers aren't available, it could impede things. So check with the lawyers and make sure that deal is as bulletproof as possible. So that's topic number one. Also, Gary, I'm going to ask you to switch me to my desktop. I just want to go through two things with you on command because we're finding this system is working unbelievably. And the other thing that's incredible is we had this in motion well before COVID hit. Had we not, we'd be scrambling and it would be near impossible to have this up and running. So we appreciate everybody who's helped us test the system and work the system through. It's phenomenal. I mean, it's there for all the right reasons and could not be more timely right now. So I'm just going to work you through two things that I'm seeing could become an issue as we're working through this. So Gary, can I
share it first and then I will put it up on the feed here. It should pop up for us.
Okay, share screen.
Lots of great comments that are coming in, by the way. Again, if we don't get to them on the live stream, we'll certainly circle back to them afterwards.
Chrome has lost permission. Follow these steps. Okay, so bear with me.
Okay. So there's lots of comments in here, and as I said, like keep posting them because I know Christine and the other broker records will jump there and answer them. There's also some awesome stuff on how people are communicating with their clients, which is important because at times like this, as we talked about, people crave human interaction, right? And if we're not there in contact with them, and when all of this is said and done, in a few weeks to a month or a lot longer, we don't know when that is. If we're there and we're top of mind, that's where we want to be, right? When there's always that age-old question: who's your real estate agent? And if they don't name you, that's a problem, right? So how do we get in front of those people to make that happen?
I'm still working on this, Gary. Bear with me.
Okay. Do we want to circle back?
Yeah, let's circle back. Give me 3 minutes on this.
Okay. We're gonna say bye to Christine for a moment. Marvin, we're gonna bring you on, and we're gonna talk about some of the forms and such that you've been working in the background to create with Christine here, and then of course your broker record out in Ottawa. And let me just share the screen so it pops up and we can talk to the points here.
Okay.
Just give me a moment here.
Sure. By the way, if either of you need help with technology, just let me know. I'll jump right in there. And good.
Yeah, I'm glad you're offering that up for us. Perfect.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so here's the forms. So do you want to walk us through? So what I've done here, Marvin, I've gotten the kind of the bullet points that Andrew put together for us, and perhaps you can walk us through what this is and why it was done.
Okay, so again, we've worked around the clock to position our people so that they're safe and they can have a competitive advantage. And I think that's really the mandate of what we're going to do going forwards, Gary. And these forms, by the way, are going to change again today. And I'm sure that's exactly what everybody wants to hear. They're fluid. They're going to be evolving as things come up. But I'm going to explain these forms, what the basic intent is, and then I'm going to let you know how they're going to be changing going forward. So the first form is a buyer questionnaire and consent form. So essentially, if anybody requests an in-person showing, and that's the terminology we're going to use going forward, we want to know that we have a buyer questionnaire completed that basically states that they don't have any of the symptoms of COVID-19. They have not actually contracted COVID-19. They've not been in the company, to the best of their knowledge and belief, of somebody who has COVID-19, and that they're going to follow a prescribed, or they haven't left the country in 14 days, and they're going to follow a prescribed method for viewing homes. So that was the general format of that questionnaire. How it's going to change today is this. As we've tested out the forms, we're getting some pushback from cooperating brokers that do not want to submit the form with their buyer's name and information on it. So we don't want to do anything that's going to impede showing. So I'm going to revise the form today with the help of Christine and Wendy and Anne in Ottawa. And what we're going to do is we're going to actually insert an affidavit that's going to say basically that the cooperating broker is going to, sign off on the fact that they have in their possession a completed buyer questionnaire executed by the buyer, attesting to the fact that all those things, that they don't have COVID-19, don't have any of the symptoms, that they haven't come in contact with somebody that has it, that they're going to adhere to the showing procedures, and that they haven't traveled outside of the country in 14 days. So that's the workaround to that document. And I believe that the whole thing about this, if you think about it logically, is people really don't know what's going on right now. They're concerned about safety. So there hasn't been anyone that's taken the lead, to my knowledge, other than us, in terms of the preparation of these forms. So we want to give sellers a heightened level of comfort. We want to give buyers a higher level of comfort. And we want to give our realtors and our cooperating realtors a higher level of comfort too. So that's the whole real intent of this. And we're going to end up going from 5 forms to 4. That will be another initiative that we're working on today. So that's the first form. The second form is for cooperating brokerage that is requesting this form is to be used when there's a showing being requested by a realtor, either through multiple representation, so another agent at Keller Williams Realty Centers, or from an outside cooperating brokerage on your listing. So you'll notice it says MLS and exclusive on there. And the reason for that is that there's quite a few people going exclusive. And we need to make sure that this document applies to both scenarios because it's the same health risk. It's the same opportunity to increase showings, whether it's exclusive or MLS. So quite simply, the form is going to be such that the cooperating broker or the multiple representation broker within our own office is going to fill out this document. And it's going to basically say that the realtor themselves are in a good state of health and they're going to follow the prescribed procedure for showing the home. And that's quite detailed. It talks about, a multitude of points in terms of safety and what to touch or not touch in this case and how it's all going to work. So those are the first two forms. If you can go to the next one, I'm not sure if you have that there. Okay.
Here's
So yes, listing brokerage form. So what we're doing in this particular form is when we're taking a listing, whether it's MLS or exclusive, we're attesting to the sellers that look, we're not ill to the best of our knowledge and belief. We don't have COVID-19. We don't have the symptoms. We're not in contact with anybody that has it. We haven't left the country in 14 days. And in addition to all of that, here's the prescribed formula for showing that we're going to adhere to. Now, what's really good about these forms, there's also a disclaimer. And the disclaimer basically says, look, to the best of our knowledge and belief, we're going to insist that people follow the prescribed formula for showing. And we believe that they've all answered in a manner that's honest and true, but we can't guarantee it. So in the event somebody unfortunately contracts COVID-19 as a result of a showing, we are not to be held liable, either as a brokerage or one of our realtors. And I don't think that's been addressed by any other company. So that's what we're doing to protect you from even a legal perspective. So that's what that form is all about. I saw you smiling earlier, Gary, so there must be some funny comments coming
There
in.
was but I think my computer has COVID-19. So I think for some, the stream might have just frozen. It'll catch back up, don't worry. And at a later date this afternoon meeting, we'll post a private YouTube link of this of the video here. But we're just going to keep moving forward.
Okay,
That's some
let's go
good
to the
comments,
next
though. Yeah. Okay,
next
so
one.
next one, absolutely.
Okay.
Here we go.
So,
Next two. Here we go.
The last two. So there's obviously a seller questionnaire, which follows suit with the buyer questionnaire, where they're going to basically say they're home safe to the best of their knowledge and belief, they're not ill, and they consent to the showing procedure. For in-person showings, that's the terminology we've adopted to differentiate between that and a virtual showing only situation. And then for a listing brokerage other than our company. So now if we want to actually go and view a property that's not our listing, we want to be able to say to the listing brokerage other than Keller Williams, look, we're gonna give you some kind of a document that says, as the realtor showing the property, we're in good health and all those things that we just discussed, and so are our buyers. We'll revise this form so that we're not actually going to send the buyer form in, but rather we'll also do an affidavit component to that document. And in turn, we want something back from you, stipulating that the environment we're going to is indeed safe, so that your sellers do not have COVID-19 and all those other things that we talked about. In other words, they haven't come in contact with somebody that has it and so on and so forth. And same for the listing agent, because we want to make sure that when they've been in the home or if they do happen to show up to the home during the showing, that they're also safe. So those are the initiatives that we've taken, and happy to field any questions regarding that.
Perfect. Andrew Bolton had a question here. It's quite lengthy, so I won't put it on the screen, but you can see it there in the comments if you're watching alongside. And it was in regards to Marvin. I had just mentioned that if we've got buyers that are willing to come look at properties, they're most likely motivated buyers. However, in the flip side, AREA and other organizations have said only do virtual showings and do not come into in-person contact and things like that. Absolutely. We always want to work in a safe environment. And if you don't feel comfortable, Marvin's mentioned this in his videos, if you are not comfortable going out and doing showings or practicing your business person to person, don't do so. Right? It's safety first, safety of you and your family. And conversely, if you know of somebody that's willing to go out and do some work, perhaps partner with that person. I know you've made mention of that in the past, Marvin. Any additional thoughts on that?
Yeah, I think that, first of all, that is the point. So there are people that have lost business because they don't feel comfortable going. And then these people that are willing to go out, just go to somebody else. So I think if you're uncomfortable under any circumstance, you may find somebody else in our brokerage that's prepared to go out. As far as OREA's position and so on, the truth of the matter is, in the absence of them giving us documents like what we've created internally to protect us, what other position could they have? What they need to be doing is exactly what we've done. This is what has to happen from a governing body to create a safe environment. In the absence of them having forms like this and clauses that we're going to talk about in our Schedule C, of course they have to take that position. So I think that this is the much, much better approach. We're having something in writing to make sure that we're doing everything that we can to create a safe environment. So I think that's the reason why you're seeing that sort of a response. They haven't actually put anything out, right? So
Yeah, no, good. There's been lots of questions on the side here, and if we take the time to answer all of them, we won't have the opportunity to finish this within the hour, but we will respond to them. So just keep asking away some really important questions, and I appreciate that. We'll certainly do our best to get them all answered. Marvin, do you want to keep moving on here with the deposits and Schedule C and just to talk in light about what that looks like?
yeah, I'll get through those.
Okay, so let's do deposits first. I didn't get the full screen up, but let's just kind of give that overview of
That's all
what
I need.
deposits.
That's
Okay,
perfect.
good.
Okay. So again, what we're looking to do is limit unnecessary contact and make the deposit procedure easier for everybody and be a leader in that area as well. So as you know, people can actually electronically transfer deposits to us now, although we haven't really had a prescribed format for doing that. So today we're going to be circulating actual document with all of our information, SWIFT code and all that stuff, so that either the buyer or the cooperating broker on the buyer's behalf can transfer a deposit right into our trust account. They don't have to come in and drop off a check. So that's going to make that a lot easier. In addition to that, we have a wire transfer opportunity for people that are outside of the country. It's not the easiest way or the best way to do things because there's deductions for the cost of the wire transfer, Gary, but if someone's out of the country, it's the absolute best way to do it. In addition, what we're in the final stages of working out is an add payee function. So much like when you go on your bank and you have a drop-down menu with all of different service providers, you can go to add payee. We're looking now at getting a Keller Williams Realty Center's add payee function as a drop-down on all banks. So that's going to make a huge difference as well in terms of transferring the money. So we're doing everything we can to make it easier. Of course, if people are going to submit deposits, we have a prescribed situation for that too. So the doors are obviously locked. They'll come into the vestibule. There's signage there. They leave the check on the counter. They have a seat in the waiting area. Our receptionists take care of the deposit and copying it and so on. They put the paperwork back up on the counter. They take it and they leave. So that's what we're doing to protect everybody in terms of the deposits. Any questions about that, Karen?
There's a few questions, right? We can handle those after the feed here. So
Okay.
Schedule C, let's talk about Schedule C here.
Yeah, so here it is. We just finished drafting Schedule C. So one of the things that I've noticed is that there's not a comprehensive schedule out there that can be used on all ends of the transaction, whether it's a buyer end or whether we're on the listing end. So we're calling it Schedule C for obvious reasons. It lines up with the word COVID or the acronym for COVID. So it's called the Schedule C. And if you could just indulge me in a moment, I'm going to let you know what this has to say. Christine, after this meeting, is posting it in a fillable form. So I am recommending, we are strongly recommending, both Christine and I, that it's mandatory that this Schedule C gets inserted, whether you're bringing in an offer to a cooperating broker or whether it's going to be on our listings. You're going to upload that as a standard schedule, just like our Schedule B. So the first one talks about the requisition date and the closing date being extended as a result of the land registry office being shut down or the banking system being shut down. And would you like me to read through the clauses or just give you an overview of the clauses, Gary?
The overview is probably best here, Mark.
All right. So basically what it says is that in the event that the closing date cannot be accommodated as a result of the land registry office closing or as a result of the bank's closing, that it automatically, the parties are agreeing to an extension of the closing date as follows. If a requisition date extension is required by the buyer's solicitor, so in other words, it could be a situation where you have a deal today, they've already done the requisition date, let's say, might have been March the 15th as an example. They did their search. The closing might have been, let's say, March 31st. And then all of a sudden, this gets pushed off 2 or 3 months. The buyer's lawyer may require another requisition date because they may have to do new searches. So that just takes that into account. So the first scenario, it says, if the buyer solicitor requests an extra time to do another requisition date, they get 5 business days once the banks open and or the land registry office opens, and the closing takes place 5 business days after that. If part B to that clause is in the event that the buyer's lawyer does not require extra time for a requisition date, and the closing date is 5 business days after the banks reopen or after the land registry office reopens. And it just completes by saying that in the event that any of these things take place, there will be no costs borne by either party as a result of COVID-19. And that, of course, that this has to be a true concern. It can't be a means of unnecessarily delaying the closing. So that's the first one. The second one is similar. It's a requisition date and closing date extension in the event that somebody contracts COVID-19. So basically, it's the same concept as the other one, basically stating that if somebody has COVID-19 and they're unable to close, then after the 14-day mandatory quarantine period, then either A or B will hold true for that as well. If the requisition date is required to be extended, then the requisition date will be 5 business days after the lapse of the quarantine, and the closing 5 business days thereafter. And if it's not required, it'll just be 5 business days later for the closing. And then we have a clause in here regarding the transfer of keys, because that seems to be an issue as well. So essentially what we're saying there is that in the event of closing, we're suggesting that either a lockbox or multiple lockboxes will be made available with the keys, with all the keys being labeled, including mailbox keys. And the location will have to be disclosed by the seller's lawyer. They may choose to even do those lockboxes at the seller's lawyer's office. So we don't know that. But they can do it in a lockbox, and they agree to provide the codes and locations of those lockboxes in short order, like on closing, so that the information is relayed to the buyer in a timely manner. And then the last two, one is a delay of closing due to the inability to obtain title insurance. So if title insurance closes down, it's often a requirement of a lender to have title insurance. And quite frankly, for most people, it's a preference to have it, even if they don't have a mortgage. In fact, in some ways, it's even more important. So this just says, in the event that due to the COVID-19 pandemic, there's a shutdown of title insurance, that the closing will be the very first business day following automatically following the ability to get title insurance. And then the last one is already in the agreement of purchase and sale, but it's just brought to the forefront via the Schedule C, which is the ability to do a paperless closing as per the Electronic Commerce Act 2000. That's it. So that's what you're getting from us today.
That's it. Not much. No, that's awesome. That's awesome. I'm just going to circle back to the deposits, because there's a few comments regarding the deposits, and
Sure.
I know some people we heard that you could do e-transfers and so forth, and even show up here in person, although that's discouraged. The best form of deposit really is to go encourage your buyer or buyer's clients, the buyer agent's clients, to go get a bank draft and go right to Meridian, where our bank is, and deposit it directly into our account. That's the fastest way that we actually receive the funds, as opposed to a wire transfer, where it could take 2 or 3 days sometimes. I know, comment here if you need to, Marvin. I know Steph would too as well, but I think that's the absolute fastest way, is direct deposit into our bank account. Is that right?
Yeah, it's not only the fastest, it's also the best way, because what happens is when they transfer funds via a wire transfer, sometimes the initiating bank or even the receiving bank, in our case Meridian, will deduct a fee. And we have to make sure that the net amount that we receive is exactly what's said on the agreement of purchase and sale for the deposit. So it can complicate things quite often. So that always has to be the case. We can't have 1 penny more or 1 penny less in the trust account as a result of the deposit.
Awesome. Appreciate Marvin. So
Right.
lots of info there from our Schedule C and deposits and the COVID-19 forms. And I know there's lots of questions on the side here. We'll circle back afterwards and provide as much clarity as we possibly can on that. So thanks, Marvin. I might bring you back in later. I see Christine's ready, and we'll bring Christine on the screen here to finish up her piece. And Christine, we're all good?
We're good. Okay.
We're
so I'm
good.
going to take you to command. You just.
Although I don't
share-
have your screen at the moment.
Here we go. Share screen. And you're good?
It'll pop up here in a second.
Okay.
It did for us the last time. Guys, I don't know about you, but I'm having a good time here. Lots of comments going by. We have close to 120 people on the stream at the moment, and we're always, hey, this is brand new for us. Somebody asked the other day, like, how are things changing? And I thought to myself, man, a month ago, I couldn't even dream all this stuff up, and look what we're doing now: virtual team meetings. And I see your screen, Christine. There we go.
All right.
I don't need to make things up in my head to talk about any longer. Okay, let's bring that up here. Okay, look at that. This is awesome. I love it. All yours.
So I just want to talk about two things that you need to be aware of with regard to command. So when you're in command, of course, you're going to go to opportunities, which will look like this. When it stops the circle of death, you'll go to activity where you have your listing. I've got seller A, going to click on that. So almost everybody understands upload the documents to that section. So that's been awesome. What I find is often missing is right here in the property section. So if you have a buyer, you're not going to put the address of the buyer. You're going to put the address of the property they're purchasing. I just want to walk you through it really quickly because it's pretty awesome. Canada, add the location. Comes up, fills in, save. So now it appears here. So when we go to search for property, so we're adding a document from our end of it, that's what we need. We need the address. And that's also a RICO requirement, is to have the address as part of it. I just want to go to documents now and show you. So with our company, it's been very successful to refresh by cancel and relisting. You don't want to start a new set of documents every time, or a new file every time you add cancel and relist documents. So if you go to this section where it says listed, do the drop down, you can add a version. So you'll have a listed version 2. So you've canceled, you're now relisting, you'll create a new version and upload all those documents. So that's the two things I wanted you to really benefit from this. I'm going to take you off screen now. Okay, so those are the two things I really want you to know. Add the address in, you can do it at any time. We can't search for the document and add things unless you have that. Once you've uploaded, make sure that you're constantly checking to see if we've rejected a document. There'll be a description in there of what we've rejected. And those are the two things. So I want to move on to an interesting thing that happened with one of our realtors over the weekend. Got a call on Saturday. They were concerned that the agreement of purchase and sale had said that the buyers, as part of the chattels, would have a, let me just get the wording correctly, forklift shelving. The buyers misunderstood and they thought that they were going to retain both the forklift and the shelving. The fact that there was no comma in there, punctuation counts, was a $23,000, could have been a $23,000 mistake for our sellers. So the forklift was never included. They did it correctly. It was forklift shelving, comma. Had they put an and sign or a comma in there, they would have been out a forklift or $23,000. So punctuation counts. It doesn't sound like much, but if it was $23,000 coming out of your pocket because you didn't read the documents, so don't forget that document was generated by the buyer. Had the buyer inserted that comma, our realtor or our sellers would have been out significantly.
Wow. People are dropping their phones everywhere, or going to read and make sure they got commas everywhere.
Yeah, $23,000 comma. So that's it for Broker Bets. I just really want to share that I appreciate how everybody's embraced command. We're working through it. We're finding, things that we want to adjust on along the way. Our staff internally has been awesome because it's a huge undertaking for them as well, and could not be more timely. So it allows us to work from home, be effective. We thank you all. Thanks, Gary.
Awesome. Kirby Chan, what's a forklift shelf? Yeah, good question. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter.
Farming, Kirby, it doesn't matter.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, so we got a couple things here, and we're gonna wrap up, and then maybe we've got some time for some questions. One of the things that Marvin talked about was, the other new initiatives that we're going to be adding to the brokerage, and how we can help support you going forward. And along the lines of just kind of picking up where Christine left off with Command, he talked about Scott Leroy Marketing. And what that is, that's a tech concierge service. Think of it like that. As soon as you have a problem, you pick up the phone and you call their service, or you send their service an email. You how to do everything or anything KW tech wise. So definitely in command, and building our websites and building our Facebook lead gen advertisements, everything from getting your profile set up correctly, all that kind of stuff they will do. More importantly than that, and I'm going to show you some info here in a second, they will transfer third-party databases in and for you. I know Marvin and Lori did this last week or a couple of weeks ago with their Top Producer account. So if you ever gone into Top Producer and tried to download it and import it anywhere, or in any CRM, it's really frustrating if you don't line up all the fields correctly. They will do it for you. Let me say that again. They will do it for you. It is awesome. They have so many different services, even from you can't figure out how to log into something. You can't figure out how to set something up. Not to say we don't want to receive those questions or phone calls anymore. However, they will respond to it right away. That's what you want. And that's that's exactly what I'm talking about here. So I'm going to, let me just show you some of the stuff that they're talking about here. Where's that slide here? Okay, here we go. Let me see if I can share the screen for us. There we go, Scott Leroy. So what you'll see at least once a week, sometimes twice a week, is an email, and they do a lot of online training, tons of online training. So just some of this that they're working on this week, and because they're so in tune with what Keller Williams does and is doing with all the online training courses, they are helping you during this shift, right? And they will give you different ways to leverage command and leverage some of the other virtual tools that we can have. The training dates are all here, and you'll get this email later. Everything from how to use DocuSign, if that's your choice, to you name it, pivot to command with Scott Leroy Marketing, how to use this, and all sorts of stuff. This is awesome. I know Stephanie brought this to our attention because they were using it at another market center. And when Marvin and I and others started hearing about this is one of those things that we had to get in front of our people. So much awesomeness here, and we are really excited about it. I know Kirby's going to be excited about it because he'll be able to leverage all that. The cost is on us. It is on us. So don't worry about that, because we're looking at ways, and more importantly, Marvin's looking at ways to add value in a time like this. We don't want to be taking value away. We want to be giving and providing value, and ways that you can, Gary Keller always says, in a shifting market is when market share is either lost or won. And we've this in the past, and this is one of those ways you can leverage to win market share that you never had before. He also goes on to say that during this time that you take market share in a market shift, you never lose it. Right? There's a story that he shares in the Shift book. It's on my counter over there. That book was written after the 2008 shift, and how Keller Williams reacted in that. Going into the shift, you probably heard me say this a few times already. Keller Williams was the 4th largest real estate brokerage in the States. When that shift turned around and came back, they were number one, right? So the fundamentals on using some of these strategies that we're using with Scott Leroy, definitely strategies out of the Shift book, leverage that for sure. Okay, cool. That's my piece on Scott Leroy. You're going to get a lot more information on that and how to sign up.
A lot of thankful people.
A lot of thankful people. Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for being thankful. Thank you to Marvin for stepping up. That's the big piece here. So awesome. I know that he's also rolling this out in Ottawa, and everyone's getting excited out there as well. I'm just looking at my notes, making sure I got everything. Why don't we bring Christine and Marvin and Colin back on the screen here, and we'll just kind of wrap up. We got about 7 minutes. We said we'd be an hour, and we'll answer some questions or some comments there, and we'll go like that. So here we go. Marvin, Christine, and Colin. There we go. The band is back together. Awesome. Guys, this has been a lot of fun. Tons and tons and tons of comments. I haven't been able to read them all, but they're all there. Colin, what do you think of this?
I like free. And
Look at Marvin. Yep, he does.
when I heard that, I got excited. So thank you very much, Marvin, and the leadership team for all that you guys are doing for us.
You're welcome.
Cool.
Gary,
Cool.
is there any way we can print out the questions so we can address them all? We'll put all the answers we can on Facebook. Is that possible?
I'm sure it is. We'll figure it out. I don't know.
Questions get addressed.
Yeah, for sure. Jeff Cowan's asking, specifically the Scott Leroy marketing piece. I'd say the majority of the content is. There might be some other things in there. They've got a whole library, Jeff, and others of everything, like all their webinars in the past. So just signing up, say, for today doesn't mean we'd have access to that history of webinars for sure.
But it's everything too, right, Gary? I mean, there's how to blog, how to do this, how to do that. Like, it's more than just command. So even if people are like in Ottawa, they're pretty proficient on command because the rollout was a little bit earlier, and still finding it very advantageous because there's a lot more to it than just that. Lots of tips and tricks too. Yeah.
And the questions are, how do they get access to Scott Leroy?
How do you get access? So that you'll see an email later today, kind of introducing you to the service and the webinar access codes, and of course the help desk contact information. So you'll get all that. Yeah. What else we got there, Laurie?
Everybody's just thankful for the generosity and the leadership.
Cool. Marvin's shirt is on point. Yeah. Good.
There it is, and awesome.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a funny.
And my shirt today says real estate's a contact sport. However, it's got to be that virtual contact, right? Cool. Okay, so let's just do this in closing remarks. Otherwise, this is just go on forever, us smiling at each other. So, Christine, a message that I know you talked about your broker bits and that sort of thing in command, but what is it you'd love to say to our brokers?
Well, first of all, when I look at 2,000 transactions a year and go through each one of them, the level of professionalism in what our brokerage does, meaning our realtors, is unbelievable. We see offers come in that look like they were written by 12-year-olds. Ours are not that. They're well informed, they're well trained, they take whatever steps is necessary to continue their training. And we're appreciative, right? Because it keeps us as a brokerage safe, it keeps them safe as well. So keep doing what you're doing. We're going to keep providing you with more and more information, more and more training. Marvin's clauses and the forms that he has created are unparalleled. I can't even imagine the time that went into that. So keep up what you're doing. We'll keep doing what we're doing. We got your back.
Yeah, just on that point, the clauses that Marvin writes, like we see them from other brokerages coming in here, right? And I don't know if many people understand the value of what we have. Marvin, you as our president, and having that knowledge and experience and willingness to spend days and write them, they are phenomenal. remember being in an offer presentation, presenting an offer, and using one of Marvin's clauses, and the comment was, "That was an awesome clause." Now, I tried to take credit for it, but I knew it was really Marvin's clause. But that's the value that is being delivered here today, and I just want to make sure everyone understands that.
Very kind.
Yeah,
It's a team
Colin,
effort.
any last there before we sign off?
I think at this point we just need to guard our minds. It's easy for us to, get into the woe me, and so much negativity is coming our way. We just need to really guard our minds and focus on the opportunities that are available in this time of crisis.
Awesome. Love it. Marvin, let you have the last word, my friend.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. Well, first of all, thank you for this, Gary. The technology aspect that went into a meeting like this, I think, is phenomenal, and I think everyone really appreciates it. Again, as Christine said, I'd like to thank all of our realtors for pivoting as necessary and saying, as Colin said, strong-minded. I want to thank Christine and the entire broker hotline team for being there to answer all of these questions. Our staff, incredible job for everybody working around the clock. Gary, thank you for your leadership. And you know what? I mean, this is the new norm. So things are changing so quickly. You're likely going to see a different T-shirt every day in a video, but it's only going to be because we have important information to share. I'm trying to make them shorter, but there's so much, it's very difficult to do. So all I can say is thank you for being here with us. We're here for you. And if there's anything you need, just reach out and we'll do our best to take care of that right away.
That Schedule C, a question about the Schedule C just came up. It'll be on the Facebook files within an hour.
Yeah, I think you're going to find that once we release our Schedule C, everyone's going to use it. That's kind of the way that's going to go. And that's okay. If we're protecting people with our initiative, that's okay. But it's nice to be at the forefront of that. I have not seen a Schedule C that's anywhere near as comprehensive. In fact, there's many people who haven't done anything, right? They're just all hibernating at home, and that's not our way. We're gonna look for opportunity every single time in this. So stay tuned. Schedule C soon, right, Christine? And revised COVID forms from 5 to 4 with a little bit different spin on it, all coming later on today.
Perfect. Love it. So not to put you on the spot, but we're going to put you on the spot, Marvin. Perhaps the best closing remark is a joke. Do you have anything on file for us today, or what do you got?
Oh, okay. Oh my gosh. Okay.
I can put it there if you need me to.
Well, you have one? You have one ready?
No, I don't. I only have the one. But I only have one joke.
I know. I can clearly see your nuts. Is that the one that you were going to use?
You ruined my punchline.
I know. It's a good joke. It's a good joke. You know what? I wish I had one that I could just rhyme off right now. I don't. I do, but they're not really PG,
okay.
And I know they get filmed.
So we'll circle this back. So a guy walks into a psychiatrist's office only wearing saran. Psychiatrist looks up and says,
I can clearly see your nuts.
I can clearly see your nuts.
That's awesome.
And we're done. Awesome, everybody. This was awesome.
See you. Bye-bye now.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.